As the once and always great Mike Lang always says before any Pittsburgh Penguins hockey game, it's a hockey night in Pittsburgh. That it is. It's the Penguins and the Rangers. Penguins postgame is here, and it's here for the regular season here on Sports for Beginners. Let's get this rolling. Let's get it on. It's the Pens and the Rangers, and it's coming up next. Well, Pens Nation, what do you think of that? I'll tell you what I think. And Borky, who's on the radio right now with the Penguins radio network, alongside Joe Brand, the new voice of the Pittsburgh Penguins radio network, 1059 DX. First of all, I'll tell you what I think as we welcome you into Penguins post game here on Sports for Beginners, the podcast. Possibly going to be streaming on YouTube within the coming years as we continue to cover this team that I honestly, Pens Nation, I really don't know. I like Sid. I like the Penguins. I like Sid because he's a Canadian hockey player, but I don't know. I really don't know. Penguins fall to the New York Rangers in the opener of the regular season 6-0. Igor Shesterkin gets the shutout, and that's not a good way to start the season. You know, I know it's game one and we got a quick turnaround getting to the Rangers. Sorry, not Rangers. We played the Rangers tonight. We got to play the Red Wings tomorrow. But listen, Igor Shesterkin, he's getting the shutout for the Rangers tonight as they shut out the Penguins 6-0 to improve to 1-0. The Penguins are 0-1-0. They dropped game one of the season to the New York Rangers. A lot that is going to be brought up soon. The one positive I'll take away before we talk about how everything's going to run in this opening segment, including our summary, the one thing I'll take away from this as a positive that we could use to our advantage as we move into our part of the opening moments where we talk about the head coaches and, of course, the starting goaltenders. The one thing I will take from this game, this 6-0 loss to the New York Rangers. Again, the final score, Rangers 6, Penguins 0. And oh my goodness me. You could talk about Jarry not being the game's. You could talk about Tristan Jarry not being the Penguins starter, even on opening night. But my goodness me. This was definitely not a good night for Tristan Jarry. I hope we have a better night down in Motown tomorrow. And I should mention just quickly here, the baseball season is in the postseason, and because the Detroit Tigers remain in the postseason right now. Tomorrow night's game between the Pens and the Red Wings at Little Caesars Arena, hopefully barring travel issues for the Penguins, which I understand the Penguins will be heading out to Motown now after this game, which is the Motor City. They're heading to the Motor City now after this loss. Due to the Detroit Tigers being in the MLB postseason, the game between the Penguins and the Red Wings tomorrow night at Little Caesars Arena has been moved to 8 p.m. Eastern Time for puck drop. It was originally scheduled for 7 p.m. Eastern Time. I'll read you the NHL's statement in just a moment or two. Maybe we'll do it at the end of the show. But regardless, without wasting any more time, let's get into head coaches and starting goaltenders. And I understand the backup to Tristan Jarry will be getting the start tomorrow. That is expected to be the start tomorrow. So, with that being said, once again, our head coach of the Pittsburgh Penguins is Mike Sullivan. And the goaltending matchup against the New York Rangers for tonight for the Penguins here on the home opener, which I guess you could say people got their money's worth. But one of the big things I look at here is this was absolutely embarrassing to lose to the division rival New York Rangers. And you lose by almost the number of points you would need in a football game. That's right. The Penguins lose 6-0, as I've already said. But anyways, getting over to on the Penguins side, the starting goaltenders. So the goaltender starter for the Penguins was number 35, Tristan Jarry. We also saw backup Joel Blomqvist. That is number 30 for the Penguins, Joel Blomqvist. The New York Rangers, the Metro Division foe for the Pittsburgh Penguins, they would start the game with number 31, Igor Shesterkin. Shesterkin getting the start for the Rangers, with Jonathan Quick, number 32, backing up Igor Shesterkin. And the New York Rangers head coach is none other than Peter Laviolette. Peter L. Sorry, Peter, if I pronounce your last name wrong. Penguin fans, the only thing that I want to talk about right now, before we get into it, is I applaud the Rangers for putting on a performance like they did tonight. Obviously, the Penguins were, well, I say stuck in the mud. Perhaps that's not the case. But I wouldn't count the Penguins out just yet. Yes, they lose game 1. Yes, they lose game 1 at home. But listen, it's only game 1. we have to do a quick turnaround to Detroit. We couldn't get any momentum pretty much going when it comes to the Penguins this season to kick things off. But it's only the beginning of the season. So what we're going to do as I might plan to talk about what's going on in the NHL right now. Of course, the 10 o'clock games going on right now. Those should be getting going right around this time. But the one thing I do want to let you guys know before we take our first break and get into everything else on the other side, like the first period summary, the third period, second period, all that jazz in between. Before we get into all of it, after we take our first break of the program, I do want to let everyone know that it's the first loss of the season. I understand. Normally, I would be coming to you guys with things like, fire Mike. But I like Mike Sullivan. I like Mike Sullivan. I like what the team has. Now, did things go our way tonight? Absolutely not. Did the power plays show up for both teams? Absolutely not. The Penguins aren't the only team in this game with no goals on the man advantage. Okay, yes. The Rangers, as you're going to find out soon, the Rangers get a goal shorthanded. But when you look at the special teams battle, and you look at the battle when it comes to the power play, neither team scored in any opportunity they had. We'll talk about it all over the course of our period summary. The period summary for Game 1 of the regular season is coming up next on Penguins Postgame when we return here on Sports for Beginners. And we are streaming these on the Ice and Behind the Benches. More on the Ice and Behind the Benches later in the program. But we'll be right back after this on Sports for Beginners. Stay with us.
CNT Radio will never give you up. They will never let you down. Nor will they run around or desert you. So join Nick Astley for The Melting Pot every Saturday on CNT Radio. Hang on a minute. He's not Nick Astley. Oh, jings, I've done it wrong. Anyway, just join Nick for The Melting Pot on CNT Radio.
Penguins get absolutely embarrassed by the New York Rangers, and not really much to say here other than the fact that they have to get things right. They have to get things right. Third period, second period, all that stuff's coming up in the period summary. But this is where we're getting into the action. And we're going to get into the action right now. I have sportsnet.ca up right now for me. And listen, despite the Penguins getting shut out by the Rangers, you got to give credit to the video review crew when it comes to the Penguins video review. Because Mike Sullivan challenged a call. And even though the Rangers got that goal back, they did not get they did not get away with a win just because one goal got called. Well, okay, actually, they did get away with the win after a goal got called back. But listen, our offense did absolutely nothing to get points on the board here. Like listen, you cannot win hockey games or any game in the sports world if you cannot score. And a perfect example of that would be what we saw on the ice tonight from the Penguins. Look at this. Let's get into it, shall we? So, no penalties to speak of here in the first period, but let's jump right into the scoring. And we're going to do this in a full period segment. So, by the time we take our break, we will make sure that in our show notes we have added timestamps for the first, second, and third period summaries. Maybe I will take a break over the course, but I just feel like we have to get this over with in one segment. So let's just get into it, shall we? I'm going to also use the NHL app to let you guys know who scored and things of that nature. All right. Let's get it on. Let's get this on. So, we already know the Penguins fall 6-0 to the New York Rangers, but where did it all begin? Where did it all begin? Well, I'll tell you where it all began. Right there in the first 20 minutes. 2 minutes and 24 seconds in, Sam Carrick puts the Rangers on the board early. His first goal of the season. Jacob Trouba on the assist, his first of the season. And Johnny Brodzinski, his first of the season. First assist of the season. Time of the goal, 2 minutes and 24 seconds in. The Rangers get the game's first goal as they blank Tristan Jarry for the first time tonight of 6 times they've done so. Moving along, a little farther down the line, Alexis Lafreniere gives the Penguins their second goal that they trail by, and Artemi Panarin picking up the assist on that one. For Panarin, it's his first assist of the season. And for Alexis Lafreniere, it is his first goal of the season. Chris Kreider had 2 goals in this game. One was short-handed. In this game, and one came in the first period of the game. That was his first goal of the season and first goal of the night. Jacob Trouba picks up his second assist of the night and of the season. Former Penguin and former Vegas Golden Knight, Riley Smith. Remember Riley Smith? He didn't stay in Pittsburgh too long. Well, he has his first assist of the season. Time of the goal for the Chris Kreider goal, 9 minutes and 48 seconds. Time of the goal for Alexis Lafreniere, 17 minutes, 23 seconds. After 20 minutes, it's the Penguins 0 and the Rangers 3. Shots on goal for the period, 15 for the Rangers and 10 for the Pens. The Penguins had 10, the Rangers 15. All right. Moving along to our second period. This is where the first timestamp will take place. And of course, we go to the penalties to kick things off here in the second period. There were a couple of them. Starting off with Penguins Drew O'Connor getting called 2 minutes for tripping at 1 minute and 6 seconds in. 4 minutes and 34 seconds in, Will Coley, 2 minutes for interference. And Will Coley actually thought he had the second goal of this game, but it was ruled offside. So that goal did not count for Will Coley. Anyways, he receives in the second period, he receives a 2 minutes for interference call. And after the Rangers went to the power play for the first time in this game, the Penguins go to the power play. 4 minutes and 34 seconds later, then the Penguins get a couple penalties here. They actually get a couple of power plays here as Jacob Trouba heads to the box for tripping at 14 minutes and 19 seconds. Philip Kreitel also heading to the box here at 18 minutes and 42 seconds. His penalty, the same as Marcus Pettersson, for 2 minutes for roughing for the Penguins. And then just a few minutes later, Sidney Crosby is called 2 minutes for cross-checking. Time of Sid's penalty, 18 minutes, 52 seconds. So the Rangers back to the power play, headed to the third. During the second period, however, Philip Kreitel, mentioned him already, having a penalty in that second period. Before that penalty, at 9 minutes and 39 seconds, before that penalty took place, Philip Kreitel, his first goal of the season, Will Coley, first assist of the season. After 40, it's the Penguins 0, and the Rangers 4. Rangers up 4-0 after 2 periods of play. Shots on goal for the Penguins, 9 shots on goal. For the New York Rangers, 14 shots on goal. Want to make sure I get this right. 14 shots on goal for the Rangers, 9 for the Penguins after the second period. And after 40, it's the Rangers 4 and the Penguins 0. Rangers up 4-0 on the Penguins. Moving on over, third period. Here we go. Regulation period. Chris Kreider. Well, the Penguins have the Rangers shorthanded for the only time in the period. That's Riley Smith at 10 minutes and 46 seconds. 2 minutes for hooking. Sorry, yep, that's right. Hooking. 2 minutes for hooking to Riley Smith. 10 minutes and 46 seconds in. And while the Rangers are shorthanded, Chris Kreider, unassisted, his first goal of the regular season. Want to make sure I get that right because we are not in the preseason anymore. We are in the regular season. So it's Chris Kreider's first goal of the regular season. First goal of the season for him. Unassisted. Actually, that's his second goal of the regular season for him. Because his first goal came in the first period, excuse me. But it is, however, his first shorthanded goal of the season. So Chris Kreider does have 2 goals in this game. But one of them was assisted by Jacob Trouba and Riley Smith. The other, unassisted. Time of the goal for the unassisted goal, short-handed for Chris Kreider. His second of the night and second of the season. $11 minutes and 35 seconds. And then this goal right here by Vince Torchek. Vince Trocheck, I should say. Yeah, Vince Trocheck. Vince Trocheck. Yeah, Vince Trocheck. Anyways, Vince Trocheck, first goal of the season for him. That makes it 6-0 Rangers over the Pens. Alexis Lafreniere, his first assist of the season. Artemi Panarin, his second assist of the night and of the season. Artemi Panarin, his second assist of the night and second of the season. The Rangers go into Pittsburgh looking to start the season on a high note. And they certainly do that. They embarrassed the Pittsburgh Penguins, beating the Pens 6-0. Before we take our break, now that we have hit the final period timestamp, that we have done that throughout our second period. Check our timestamps throughout this break and throughout our first break to get to the period you want to talk to, or you want to get to. Before we take the break, the final total shots by period. In the third period, the Rangers finished the game with 12 shots on goal in the third period. The Penguins, meanwhile, finished with the same number of shots they finished with in the first period at 10 shots on goal. The New York Rangers outshoot the Penguins 41-29 in the shot total. The remaining of the shots in our total segment coming up next on Penguins Postgame, right after this, from our friends at Sienna T Radio. You're listening to Pittsburgh Penguins Hockey on Sports for Beginners, the podcast, on Penguins Postgame, and we'll be right back with the 3 stars of the game, the overall game stats, courtesy of my sportsnet.ca that I have on. And this is one reminder. I haven't done it in our Discord server, but this is your reminder right now. Even though this is via voice memo, this is your reminder now to head on over to Discord. Send us an email at sportsforbeginnerspodcast8231@gmail.com. Again, that's sportsforbeginnerspodcast8231@gmail.com. And head on over to our Discord and start putting in your play of the game recipient, your shake of the game, which is what we're calling our player of the game segment, and time permitting, given that it is 10:40 p.m. Eastern Time as we take our break, time permitting, please send us your game puck of the game recipient. We'll touch on the game puck of the game recipients, time permitting, in the final break of the program. But first, we're going to take a timeout. When we come back, 3 stars of the game, officials for this game, and the final game totals, plus, if we have time, unless we take the break before then, we'll do the shake of the game. All of it when we return right after this from our friends at Sienna T Radio. Stay tuned.
Looking for conversations on books and more, as well as tutorials on using your favorite devices and applications? You've come to the right place. Join us weekly on Spicy Techie, where Ali and Sienna provide insightful conversations, as well as useful tips and tricks to help you along on your technological journey. To learn more, tune into the show and like the Spicy Techie Facebook page. Search for Spicy Techie.
Rangers 6, Penguins 0. Igor Shesterkin shuts the door for the Rangers in the Penguins home opener as they fall 6-0 to the New York Rangers. We did have a 3 stars introduction that we had before. We are going to make some updates to that over the course of the season. So for this year, for Penguins postgame, you won't hear an introduction for the 3 stars of the game, no matter when the game plays out. And as I mentioned in the opening, I did forget to mention that I am your host, Scott McGregor. In case I did not forget to mention that, I'm just reiterating that. I am your host, Scott McGregor. Thank you so much to Nick Blazewitz and everyone involved at Sienna T Radio, making your day brighter one song at a time. I'm looking forward to a jam-packed Saturday where I'll be tuning in to 1059 The X for the Saturday morning program that Paul Steigerwald mentioned on the air in Penguins Live pregame earlier tonight, which took place at 6:30 p.m. Eastern Time, right after the GM show with Josh Getzoff, voice of the TV side for the Penguins, and general manager and president of hockey operations, Kyle Dubas. Was a great show, Josh. Look forward to the next one, whether it's the coaches show or it's another edition of the GM show. I was listening to it right after I listened to the last little bit of Double M, Mark Madden. Catch him on WXDX FM Pittsburgh, weekdays from 3 to 6 p.m., only on 1059 The X. Your home for the Pittsburgh Penguins radio network. All right, with that all being said, again, shout out to Josh, shout out to Paul Steigerwald, and shout out to Mark Madden. And you know who else is going to get a shout out? You, the listeners. Because if you were with me last year, we did a whole 82 games. We did a whole 82 game season for the Pittsburgh Penguins, no matter what the outcome was last year. We had it for you here on Sports for Beginners. And I intend to do the same this year, even if we don't hear from head coach Mike Sullivan, players Sidney Crosby, Evgeny Malkin, Chris Letang, anybody the Penguins have faced, including head coach Peter Laviolette, or Peter L., which is our head coach of the New York Rangers, the opponent tonight. Even if we don't do any of that, it's all in good time. But that's what we're here for. We're here to have a good time. So with that being said, let's not waste any more time and get down to it. We're going to kick things off here in the middle half of our program with our game stat. Again, head on over to our Discord server. Go to Penguins post-game show interactions and send us your, yes, I said send us your game puck of the game recipients, your play of the game. If you're displeased with how the 3 stars that I'm about to read to you after we go over the game stats, which we'll do so in a second, please feel free to send us your 3 stars of the game. If you are displeased with how the 3 stars shake up. I know I'm kind of displeased, but I'm going to read you the 3 stars in just a moment after we get through the game stats, which again, as I said, we'll do in just a second. Oh, and one more thing. Please send us, even if it's in email or on the Discord, please send us your recipient for the Shake of the Game. That is our Player of the Game segment for this year. And some breaking news regarding what inspired our segment, the Shake of the Game. With Jake Gensel no longer a Penguin, the Milkshake Factory wants to continue supporting the Pittsburgh Penguins with milkshakes. And all through today, half off shakes were being distributed. So if you had a chance to check out their new player who is bringing back half off shakes at the Milkshake Factory. First of all, any guesses who it is? I'll give you a hint. He wears the number 17, and Phil Burgh on the radio sometimes refers to him as the Rusty Razor. That's your hint. We'll reveal more about that information in due time if I'm able to catch up with the Milkshake Factory and find out. Who it is, of course, I've left you with a hint to see if you can figure it out. If I'm able to catch up with the Milkshake Factory, maybe get them to sponsor this podcast or this show on this podcast, we'll be able to reveal who is stepping up to the plate to become the new half-off Jake Shake. Of course, Jake Shakes were half off every time Jake Gensel scored when he was a Penguin. He is not a Pittsburgh Penguin anymore, but we'll get into all of that another time. We do have some business to get to, and as I said, if I do get the Milkshake Factory to be in contact with me, which is the official milkshake of the Pittsburgh Penguins, maybe they will, maybe I'll get them in to sponsor Penguins postgame here on Sports for Beginners. But with that all being said, until that happens, we're going to stay quiet. But I'm pretty sure you guys might know who it is. All right, with that being said, as I said, we are going to get to the 3 stars in just a moment. But it is time now, without wasting any more time, it is time now to go over the remainder of the game stats. If you remember through the period summary, we went by the shots on goal per period. And in that timeline, we determined that the Penguins were outshot by the New York Rangers 41-29. So, how many shots on goal when you do 41 take away 29? How many shots on goal were the Penguins outshot by? Ooh, 12. Not too shabby. Not too shabby. So I did 41 take away 9, and I found out that the Penguins were outshot by 12 shots on goal. Yeah, so let's do that again, just to be double sure. Just to be sure. Yep, that's right. It was the New York Rangers out shooting the Penguins by 12 shots on goal as they defeat the Penguins 6-0, and in the shot total they outshoot the Penguins 41-29. The Penguins had 23 hits in this game. The New York Rangers finished with 16. The Penguins finish. Woo! This one's even. We are even in the face-off for opening night. Of course, I'm going to bring up our face-off percentage on the NHL app to go over the percentages. But the New York Rangers won 30 face-offs. According to the NHL app, they won 31 face-offs. And that also means, even though they won 31 face-offs, that means they won 52.5% of the face-offs tonight, which were 59 face-offs each. The Penguins, 47.5% they finished at face-off percentages, winning 28 of 59 face-offs. So once again, the New York Rangers won 31 of 59 face-offs for a face-off percentage of 52.5%. The Penguins won 29 of 59 face-offs for a face-off percentage of 47.5%. Both teams on the power play. The Rangers 0 for 2. The Penguins 0 for 3. So for the Rangers, their penalty kill is a perfect 3 for 3 tonight. And for the Pittsburgh Penguins, their penalty kill is a perfect 2 for 2 tonight. So the penalty kills weren't bad. I like that first period, however, where both teams were able to stay out of the box, stay out of the penalty box. In the second period and third period, penalties kind of got the best of them. Well, actually, I would say in the second period, the penalties got the best of them. Third period, nice period by the Penguins. They didn't take any penalties. The Rangers, however, did take a penalty. Both teams took penalties in the second period. 3 to Pittsburgh, 3 to the Rangers. So they split penalties in the second period, with none taken in the first period. All right, with that all being said, moving along. With each time the Penguins were in the penalty box, they spent 6 minutes total in the penalty box. I'll just make sure I get that right. The Penguins spent 6 minutes total in the penalty box. The New York Rangers, they spent 8 minutes in the penalty box. In the penalty box. Make sure I get that right. In the penalty box. As I said, the New York Rangers finished the game with 16 hits. 23 hits for the Penguins. The blocked shots, 20 for the Penguins. 10 for the Penguins and 20 for the New York Rangers. Both teams took the puck away from each other 4 times, and they gave it away twice as much to each other. The Penguins finished with 19 giveaways, and the Rangers finished with 18 giveaways. So, when you look at takeaways, the Penguins took the puck away from New York 4 times. The Rangers took the puck away from Pittsburgh 4 times as well. All in all, there is your game stat. And we'll get to our officials and linesmen in just a moment. But before we get into that, maybe we'll take a break and get to that on the other side. Before we do take a break, time for the 3 stars of the hockey game. And our third star tonight is Rangers forward number 13, Alexis Lafreniere. A goal, an assist, +2. Time on the ice, 15 minutes and 42 seconds. That's courtesy of Sportsnet here. Maybe we have something else to say when it comes to Lafreniere's time on the ice on NHL. No, it's the same timeline. And our second star tonight is the New York Rangers goaltender, Igor Shesterkin. 29 stops of each of the Penguins' 29 shots. He stopped all 29 of them. For a save percentage of 1,000, no goals given up. And your first star, 2 goals, no assist for Chris Kreider, but he was +2 and was on the ice for 16 minutes. 16 minutes and 30 seconds. It is Chris Kreider. He is your first star of the game. So Chris Kreider, Alexis Lafreniere, who of course was our third star, and Igor Shesterkin. Well, I mean, you know what? Even though I'm displeased with how the 3 stars shaped up, like I said in the opening, you cannot win if you cannot score. And tonight was a perfect example of the Penguins not winning when they can't score. Give the penalty kill credit where the credit is due. When the penalty kill was on, both teams did what they had to make sure that nothing went in against them. Do I see that happening when the Penguins play the Red Wings tomorrow night at 8 p.m. Eastern Time? No, I do not. I actually see the Penguins and the Red Wings putting on quite a show, unlike what the Penguins did tonight, where they put on a show, but really there was nothing that they could muster when it comes to scoring goals. Once again, they fall to the New York Rangers 6-0. We're going to take a break. When we come back, it's time for the shake of the game. We will reveal tonight's officials for this game. And then we'll take one final break, get you ready for the Red Wings and the Penguins tomorrow night from not PP. They were playing in PPG Paints Arena tonight. They will be playing in Motown tomorrow. And you'll probably be tuned into this program on Sports for Beginners by the time that game starts. Hopefully I can get that to you before then. As a reminder, all of our episodes, voice recorded or video recorded via Zoom or via Riverside or wherever we end up doing this in the future, they will be up on YouTube after they have been recorded and released via our Spotify for Podcasters hosting platform, which for the time being, before they made that upgrade with Riverside for Spotify for Podcasters, you could send us a voice message. Now you could just leave a comment as you would any YouTube video. Either way, that's all we're going to say about that for now. And we'll be right back with tonight's officials from PPG Paints Arena. The shake of the game. I'll give you my play of the game. And then we'll take a timeout, our final timeout of the show. And bring in game pucks of the game. Your final reminder to get your points in there. Your final reminder to get your subscriptions in there. Your recipients in there. If you've reached this part of the show, which is a pre-recorded program. If you have reached that point in the program, thank you so much for sticking with us. We really appreciate it. But make sure you head on over to the Discord server or go to your email right now and send us an email at sportsforbeginnerspodcast8231@gmail.com. Once again, that's sportsforbeginnerspodcast8231@gmail.com. And use the subject 3 stars of the game pucks of the game, shake of the game, or play of the game. And whether the Pens win or they lose, like they did tonight, we will get one out to you as soon as possible and maybe let you control the conversation with your play of the game. However, because we don't have rights to play audio, we're just going to pick the play of the game. Those are other informations that I will not get into right now. Instead, we're going to take a break. When we come back, we are going to get into the shake of the game. We are also going to get into the play of the game. All that and more as we roll on with our premiere episode for the 2024-2025 regular season of Penguins Postgame. Penguins hockey on Sports for Beginners and streaming later on the Ice and Behind the Benches will continue right after this 22-second timeout from our friends at Take Another Look, the podcast. Be right back right after this.
Take Another Look with Gerda Felix and Melanie Taddeo Malo. Two powerful women of diverse backgrounds having genuine, unique, and uncomfortable conversations that everyone needs to have. Join Melanie and Gerda for conversations about what is missing from human connections.
All right, everybody, welcome back to Penguins Postgame. First Penguins Postgame of the 2024-2025 season. I am your host, Scott McGregor. I wish I was coming to you to celebrate a party on Fifth Avenue with the Penguins beating the New York Rangers. But instead, we are talking about a Penguins loss to the New York Rangers because the Rangers defeated the Penguins silly in a 6-0 win over the Penguins. And instead of a 2-point party on Fifth Avenue here in Pittsburgh, of course, I'm coming to you from the Sports for Beginners podcast studio in a remote location. We're not going to talk about where that is right now. But regardless, we welcome you back in, and I will be back with you in just a second because it's time for the shake of the game to take over. Before we get there, it's time for tonight's officials. Our linesmen tonight were Derek Nansen and Matt McPherson, Francois St. Laurent and Jake Brunette. I'll just say Jake B. Sorry about that, Jake, if I pronounced your last name wrong. With that all being said, once again, our linesmen, Derek Nansen and Matt McPherson. Matt McPherson are the linesmen. The referees were Francois Saint Laurent, I should say, and Jake B. All right. With that being said, it's time for the shake of the game. So before we get there, we have an introduction to bring us in. Let's bring that right now. Now it's time for the shake of the game, where we find out who stood out in tonight's hockey game. So let's find out who stood out in this one and who just might need a little pick-me-up. Who just might need a little pick-me-up? Well, I can think of a few players for the Penguins that might need a little pick-me-up. But before I get down to that, let's talk about our shake of the game recipients when it comes to who might need a little pick-me-up and who played well. First, I want to get into our scratches. And the scratches notable here on Sportsnet. Former Penguin Chad Ruido. And Chad, if I pronounced the first name of it wrong, I apologize in advance. Matt Remp is also out for the New York Rangers. Out for Mike Sullivan's Penguins. The notable scratches: Ryan Shea and Valtteri Puustinen. So of the note, the Penguins scratches: Valtteri Puustinen and Ryan Shea. For VP and Ryan Shea. The notable scratches for the New York Rangers, as mentioned earlier: Matt Remp and former Penguin Chad Ruido. And Matt Remp were out for this game. I think the first person that we should get into for a shake of the game would be on the winning side. And the winning side tonight was the New York Rangers. So I think the first shake of the game, we're going to give two out. One's going to be a pick-me-up. One is going to be for the player because I thought they played really, really well. And in this case, the player that is going to get the shake of the game tonight for the New York Rangers, as a player I thought played really, really well, that's going to go to their goaltender, Igor Shesterkin, who I thought played really, really well. He stood on his head like a brick wall and just would not, and I mean would not, let the Penguins pass. No matter how many times they missed the net or how many times they put a shot on goal, he just would not let them score. The pick-me-up is going to go for the Rangers. It's going to go to we're going to give it to Adam Fox. Now, Adam Fox, 2 shots on goal. He was a +2, so he was on the ice for 2 goals in this game. Was on the ice for 20 minutes and 58 seconds total. And the dude did put on an impressive showing when it comes to hits and blocks. He registers a block and he does not register a hit. But hey, as long as you can register a hit, a block, or anything of that nature, and you don't end up in the penalty box, that's good. Speaking of which, Adam Fox did not end up in the penalty box tonight. And if I missed that, my apologies. Maybe he did, maybe he didn't. But from what I'm seeing, he did not end up in the penalty box, and I don't think he did. He did not end up in the penalty box, no. He did, however, end up with 1 giveaway. And no takeaways. And he gets 1 block in the game. Okay, now let's go to the Penguins. The team we'll be talking about all year long. All right. So, listen. People have been talking crap about Tristan Jarry, and then there was a guy, I'm not going to mention the name, but Brian Metzer. First of all, shout out to you, Metz. Shout out to you, Metzer. Great to see you back on the call, on the radio. But there was a question regarding Mike Sullivan and if the Penguins lost a couple games, including the first one, which they did tonight, does that impact Mike Sullivan's job as head coach of the Penguins? Bill Burgh said on the air, he said, I don't think so. I don't think that is going to be the case. But yeah, I mean, you know what? If the Penguins lose 5-6 games right off the jump of the regular season, which we all hope doesn't happen as Penguin fans, but if it does happen, yeah, maybe Mike Sullivan's job might be on the line. Maybe Mike Sullivan's job might be on the line. I don't think it's going to happen, though, even if it is on the line. Because we've seen how the Penguins bounce back from victories. Sometimes they don't. Sometimes they do. But the reality is, you cannot win a game if you cannot score. And again, as I've said so far tonight, here on this recap, the Penguins had a perfect example of not playing Pittsburgh Penguin hockey. And of course, they had a perfect example of why you cannot win a hockey game, or any game in any sport for that matter, if you cannot score. They didn't score tonight, and they didn't score tonight, so they come out with a loss, and it's an embarrassing shutout loss to division rival New York Rangers tonight. All right. Speaking of which, let's get to the shake of the game, which is going to go to It is going to go to the goaltender despite giving up 6 goals against. He has a save percentage of .854 to end the night. Faced 35 shots, which is the number that he wears, by the way, for the Pittsburgh Penguins. Sorry, he faced 41 shots, and he made the number that he wears of saves. He made 35 saves, but he faced 41. 6 of those 41, not including the disqualification goal, or I should say the disallowed goal for a better term of words, not including the disallowed goal. 6 of those 41 shots went into the back of the net tonight. All right. The pick-me-up shake of the game. You might think I'm crazy if I say this, but my pick-me-up shake of the game is going to go to number 72, the new guy, Anthony Buvarelli. 6 shots on goal for Anthony Buvarelli. He was a -1. Picks up a hit and a block. But by golly, did he try to put the puck in the net. 6 shots on goal. He was only on the ice for 14 minutes. I feel like that could have been longer if the Penguins had their way in this hockey game. But it is what it is. A win is a win, and a loss is a loss. The Penguins will look to bounce back when they play Detroit in Detroit's first game of the 2024 regular season for 2024-2025. But before we leave you for our final break of the program, as we'll get into the game pucks in just a moment, after a 30-second timeout, word from our friends over at Broadcast Map. Before we leave you here, we're going to go ahead and take a look at our scoreboard just before we close out this segment. As I said, I wanted to do that, so we're going to go ahead and do that right now. As we speak here, all 3 10 o'clock games are in the second period. By the time we have wrapped up, and by the time you hear the program, the games are going to be final. So, quickly here, let's go over to Thursday for a second, because by the time you hear this, these games will be getting ready to go. So, on Thursday tomorrow, of course, you got the Penguins and the Red Wings at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. Also at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, the Nashville Predators take on the Dallas Stars. The Columbus Blue Jackets take on the Minnesota Wild. And at 7 o'clock, when things get started, 7 p.m. Eastern, the Maple Leafs will try to get right as they face off against the Devils in New Jersey at 7 p.m. Eastern. The Sabres play the Los Angeles Kings in Buffalo. The Ottawa Senators will take on the Florida Panthers at 7 p.m. as well. The Montreal Canadiens look for win number 2 as they take on the Boston Bruins, who are looking for win number 1 after losing on Tuesday to the Stanley Cup champion Florida Panthers. The Ottawa Senators, meanwhile, face that team at 7 p.m. Eastern. In the 7:30 p.m. Eastern window, the Utah Hockey Club will be looking for win number 2 of the season in their inaugural season after defeating the Chicago Blackhawks by a final score of 5-2. They'll take on the New York Islanders in Long Island. And then to wrap it all up on Thursday night, the Blues and the Sharks will battle in the Shark Tank at 10:30 p.m. Eastern. All right. To the games that will be final by the time you listen to this. The Toronto Maple Leafs, as mentioned earlier, were defeated in shutout fashion by Cole Caulfield and Samuel Montembeault. The final score, however, 1-0 in favor of the Canadiens. Final score in our game, Rangers 6, Penguins 0. And in the ongoing games right now, the Winnipeg Jets, who we spoke of earlier, but I mentioned they are not playing tomorrow. By the time you listen to this, they are playing tonight. They are not playing tomorrow. They currently have a 5-0 lead on the Edmonton Oilers in the second period. The Vegas Golden Knights have a 4-2 lead on the Colorado Avalanche in the second period. And the Vancouver Canucks have a 4-1 lead on the Calgary Flames in the second period. So once again, it's the Vancouver Canucks. The Vancouver Canucks playing the Calgary Flames, and they are currently leading the Flames 4-1 in the second period. The Winnipeg Jets are leading the Oilers 5-0 in the second period. And the Vegas Golden Knights are leading the Colorado Avalanche 4-2. So again, of the ongoing games right now, the Avalanche trail the Golden Knights 4-2. The Edmonton Oilers trail the Winnipeg Jets 5-0. The Calgary Flames trail the Vancouver Canucks 4-1. And of the final scores so far, the Penguins lost to the New York Rangers 6-0. And the Montreal Canadiens defeated the Toronto Maple Leafs 1-0. All right. Back in a moment to put this one to bed with the game puck of the game, the play of the game, and we're setting up for the Motor City in Detroit tomorrow night. Game time again, 8 p.m. Eastern from Detroit, Michigan, which is 7 p.m. Central, 5 p.m. Pacific, and 1 a.m. in the UK. Back in a jiff to wrap it up.
looking for conversations on the world of broadcasting, sports media, and from time to time, my favorite sports teams? Listen to Broadcast Map with me, Ali Musa. To learn more about the show and to view the upcoming schedule, like the Broadcast Map Facebook page. Search Broadcast Map.
Penguins fall to the New York Rangers in the opening of the season in the opening game of the season for the Pittsburgh Penguins. Game pucks of the game coming up in just a little bit. But first, I want to acknowledge Ali Musa. That's A-L-I Musa. A-L-I M-O-O-S for Ali Musa, host of Broadcast Map. Thank you so much, Ali, for all the great work you do at Broadcast Map and all the great support you provide for sports for beginners and on the ice and behind the benches. Thomas and I really do appreciate it. The same as I'd like to extend a thank you to Sienna Tregiani. Shout out to you, Sienna, if you are checking this out on the podcast feed when it drops or on the YouTube channel. Please make sure to like, comment, and subscribe with your feedback to the show so you never miss an episode or you never miss a video when it goes on the air. And we will continue to do voice memo stuff for a little while longer as we continue on. As mentioned, Igor Shesterkin shuts the door for the New York Rangers to come away with a 6-0 victory over the Pittsburgh Penguins. The records for the Penguins and the New York Rangers: 1-0-1 for the Rangers. 1-0-0 for the Rangers. And for the Pittsburgh Penguins, 0-1-0. That's the record for the Penguins. Game-winning goal belongs to Sam Carrick. And that was the opening goal of the game, which was scored at 2 minutes and 24 seconds in to the first period. All right. With that being said, let's not waste any more time and get down to the game pucks of the game. We'll do the game's play of the game right afterward. All right. For the New York Rangers, the player of the game for me, I should say the game puck of the game for me, is going to go to New York Rangers goaltender Igor Shesterkin. 29 saves on the 29 shots he faced. The rest is history. And for the Pittsburgh Penguins, you know, he might not have done much. He might not have done much for the Pittsburgh Penguins tonight. But he skated in his first ever NHL game. It's Rutger McGroarty. He may not have done much. He registered a shot on goal. Was a -1. 12 minutes and 20 seconds on the ice total. Didn't register a hit, did not register a block. Very grateful he didn't get penalized. But the dude had to score a goal. He did also have to score an assist, if possible. And he also had to score some points. He did neither. But you know what? Rutger, welcome to the NHL. Welcome to the Pittsburgh Penguins. I know I'm not a member of the Penguins organization to say that. But as a Penguins fan, a Canadian Penguins hockey fan at that, I just wanted to say welcome to the Burgh and hope that you enjoy your time as a member of the Penguins organization and a member of the Pittsburgh Penguins. Rutger McGroarty, even though the Penguins didn't do very much other than get a New York Rangers goal called back because of an offside. But besides that, which was a positive I took away, Rutger McGroarty is my Game Puck of the Game recipient for the Pittsburgh Penguins tonight. And again, my Game Puck of the Game for the New York Rangers belongs to Rangers starting netminder Igor Shesterkin. Igor played really, really well. And I really, really enjoyed how he played. I should not be, saying, oh, the reason I like Igor is because he played really, really well. But the dude did. The dude did play really, really well in this game. So and you know what? I could go on, but we would be here all night. So here's what I'll say. Was tonight Tristan Jarry's night? Absolutely not. Did I think Tristan Jarry did terrible? Debatable. He did make some good stops, I thought. But our offense was not able to contribute, even on the power play, which was a problem last season. So we just gotta get things going in a better way. We just gotta get things going in a better way going into the game against Detroit. So with that all being said, that wraps up Game Pucks of the Game. We'll preview Detroit and Pittsburgh duking it out in a matter of moments. And actually, we'll do so in a few seconds. But before we do that, we are going to get into the play of the game. For me, my play of the game is going to go to none other than Chris Kreider. I thought once Chris Kreider scored his first goal, when he got his second one in that third period, shorthanded, I thought the onslaught is going to continue, and the Penguins are just going to let New York walk all over them, as they did. Am I at all surprised Sam Carrick is the game-winning goal, according to Sportsnet? Absolutely not. No, I'm not. Would I preferred it to be Vince Torchek? Vince Torchek, or Vince T rather? Would I prefer it to be Vincent, I'll say? Would I have preferred that? Debatable. But no matter how you slice it, Penguin fans, Igor was magnificent tonight. Chris Kreider scored twice. Sam Carrick also scored. Alexis Lafreniere, Philip Kreitel, Vincent Torchik, they score for New York, who at the end of the night dominated Pittsburgh as they beat the Penguins for the 5th time in their last 6 meetings. Kreitel's goal was his first in over 18 months after he missed most of last season due to a concussion. The centers flicked to the far post against Tristan Jarry just before the game's midway point, boosted New York's lead to 4-0. Well, there we go. Chris Kreider, second goal of the game and second of the season, is what is my play of the game. If you have a different play of the game, let me know. Again, send an email to sportsforbeginnerspodcast8231@gmail.com, or go to our Discord under Penguins post-game show interactions and send us your thoughts on the game and all things considered. The Penguins lose it 6-0. Quick turnaround as they head to Detroit to take on It's a quick turnaround as they head to Detroit to take on the Detroit Red Wings tomorrow night. 8 p.m. Eastern Time is the start time. We'll be live on Penguins postgame following that game the next day. But again, it'll all be pre-recorded like it was tonight. And if you are catching this on a Thursday night ahead of the game, if you're not going to tune into the hockey game in Motown between the Detroit Red Wings and the Pittsburgh Penguins, then why not head on over to Sienna T Radio for a great evening of music and a virtual flight around the world. Why don't we have that word close us out after we sign off here? So as we move into our sign off, our final score: Penguins 0, Rangers 6. And it came to an attendance record of 18,109 fans in 190 fans in attendance, I should say. 18,190 fans in attendance at PPG Paints Arena, the site of the Penguins home opener, which is ending on a somber note as the Penguins fall to the New York Rangers in embarrassing fashion. 6-0 the final from PPG Paints Arena tonight. It's off to Motown for the Red Wings and the Pens tomorrow. from Little Caesars Arena. Meanwhile, for the Rangers, and I'll bring up the schedules here. No, actually, you know what? Meanwhile, for the Rangers, next up for New York, well, let's take a look-see. Let's take a look-see at the Rangers, because we're just going to go to their next game. Next up for the Rangers, after the Utah Hockey Club has played the New York Islanders, they'll get their first go at the New York Rangers, as the Rangers will face off against the Utah Hockey Club next time they are on the ice. So for the Rangers, it's the Utah Hockey Club on Saturday, October 12th. And for the Penguins, they will also be in action on Saturday. So be sure you check into that with us for Penguins postgame. Because whether or not I end up at the game or not, whatever the case is going to be, the Penguins go to Motown for a Thursday night late game at 8:20 p.m. as they take on the Red Wings. And last but certainly not least, Toronto takes on Pittsburgh a few days from tomorrow night. I should say in 3 nights from tomorrow night. Maybe make that actually 2 nights from tomorrow night. They'll go head to head with the Toronto Maple Leafs at the Toronto Maple Leafs home opener on Hockey Night in Canada. 8 p.m. Eastern is tomorrow night's hockey game between the Red Wings and the Penguins. I'll talk to you on Friday as we prepare to get ready for Maple Leafs and Penguins on Saturday night. Maybe I'll have a guest to break down Red Wings and Penguins from Thursday night. It's likely Joel Blomqvist will get the start tomorrow. What's been confirmed is tomorrow night's opponent. Billy Husso is going to get the start for the Red Wings. VH is going to get the start for the Red Wings. Will Joel Blomqvist start tomorrow? Or will we get another crack at number 35, Tristan Jarry? The answers to be found out at 8 p.m. Eastern tomorrow night. That is it for us here on Penguins Postgame. If you love what you've heard so far, thank you guys so much for joining us here today on the podcast. I want you all to have a great week so far. Tough one for the Pens tonight, but there's always tomorrow, and then the next day, and then the next day. And remember, tonight was not a good night for the Toronto Maple Leafs either. Well, I guess that might be a bit of an understatement. In any case, you have just listened to Pittsburgh Penguins hockey on the Sports for Beginners podcast. And my name is Scott McGregor, saying that it is not goodbye, it is until next time. And until then, Penguins fans, we will talk to you after the next Pens game, which will be Friday after the late night game between the Pens and the Red Wings in Motown. If you love baseball, then Tiger fans, make sure you cheer loud and proud for your Detroit Tigers. And then Penguin fans, even if you are a Detroit Tiger baseball fan, if you're a Penguins fan in Detroit, make sure you cheer loud and proud for the Pens at Little Caesars Arena tomorrow night. I know I will be. Even if I can't watch it on TV, I'm definitely tuning in to WXDX FM Pittsburgh, the home of the Pittsburgh Penguins and the best Pens coverage. 1059 The X. As Mike Lang always says, at the end of every game, when the Penguins win, we're going to do it even if they lose, which they did tonight. Ladies and gentlemen, Elvis has just left the building. I'm Scott McGregor. This has been a presentation of Penguins Postgame, our first of the 2024-2025 regular season. The next one is coming your way Friday after Penguins and Red Wings, which go down at 8 p.m. Eastern tomorrow night on Thursday night. Until then, everybody, have a great rest of your evening. If you're catching this in the evening, even on Thursday evening, have a great rest of your week. And for all those Penguin fans who are Canadian hockey fans, happy Canada Thanksgiving. Speaking of which, the Penguins are playing on Thanksgiving for Canada. More on that during our Maple Leaf recap. But one game at a time. So let's get ready for the Red Wings, because we lost to the Rangers tonight in front of the home crowd. The attendance record once again, 18,190 fans in attendance. 18,190 fans in attendance at PPG Paints Arena, the site of tonight's loss to the New York Rangers. That's it for us. We'll talk to you Friday after Thursday night's game between the Penguins and the Red Wings. Pens and the Wings coming up next time on Penguins Postgame. See you then. And let's go Pens!